Hello and welcome to another episode of Rhymeslow Podcast. Today we have this very interesting topic to discuss with Sarah Timms and Joshua Timms. बाकी जो उनका पूरा नाम है क्योंकि वो बड़ा ही मुश्किल है मेरे लिए ठीक है प्रोनाउंस करना तो वो उनको कहेंगे कि वो खुद ही प्रोनाउंस करेंगे तो थैंक यू सो मच सारा एंड जोशुआ फॉर योर टाइम पहले तो अपना नाम प्रोनाउंस करते हैं
Thank you for having me. My name is Joshua Adam Gerard Timms, and yeah, that's it.
अच्छा हम जो डिस्कस
I don't think that it's very hard though, because it's a really common name.
It's a common name, but in England, not here in Pakistan.
In Pakistan as well. When I was younger, yes, the name Joshua wasn't so popular as it is compared to now. Everybody's almost.
हाँ वो असल में ग्लोबलाइजेशन की वजह से ना वो बड़ा
Yes,
मिक्सचर
yes.
सा हो गया है बहुत सारी चीजें कॉमन हो गई हैं
Yes.
लेकिन जो कि पहले नहीं थी अच्छा आज तो हम आपके बारे में बात करेंगे द टिम्स फैमिली और एंग्लो इंडियंस ठीक है बहुत सारे लोग ये है कि इस चीज के बारे में नहीं जानते कि वो आर एंग्लो इंडियंस और दे हैव दिस 300 years हिस्ट्री इन द सब कॉन्टिनेंट बट मुझे भी नहीं पता था मुझे कुछ टाइम पहले पता चला है कि वो द एंग्लो इंडियंस अच्छा ये बताएं कि आपकी जो फैमिली है आपके अब मैं थोड़ा सा फॉर द ऑडियंस में ये बता देता हूँ कि वो द एंग्लो इंडियंस बेसिकली जो एंग्लो इंडियंस थे उनमें इंग्लिश ने ये किया कि दे हैव बिल्ड दिस स्पेशल कम्युनिटी जो कि एक ब्लेंड था बिटवीन इंग्लिश और एक इंडिविजुअल जो होता था एंग्लो इंडियंस में से वो इंग्लिश उनमें मेल होता था या इंग्लिश या वेस्टर्न या यूरोपियन और जो फीमेल होती थी उनमें वो दे यूज्ड टू मैरी द इंडियन वुमेन उसमें अब मैं इसमें से पढ़ता हूँ जो कि उस कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में था और यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है कि दिस यूनिक हाइब्रिड इंडिविजुअल वाज एथनिकली इंजीनियर्ड बाय द occupying British so much so that the Anglo-Indians were the only minority community ever defined in the constitution.
Yes.
अब ये article 366 में of the Indian constitution states an Anglo-Indian means a person whose father or any of whose male ancestors in the male line is or was of European descent. ठीक है ये constitution में लिखा हुआ था उस टाइम तो हाउ वाज योर फैमिली लाइक जब से आप पैदा हुए अब हम पीछे चलेंगे जो आपके स्टोरीज आपके ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स या ग्रेट ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स बताते थे तो कैसा था आपका बचपन कैसा था जोशुआ
Well, my childhood, it was basically being brought up in London. We never really thought that we were over here in Pakistan because of the family being so English. What I mean by that is we were never basically known as the other part that we were living over here. We were always given the concept that we were in England because grandpa being in the British Army, he had that role of the strictness. He had the role of being on point. Everything used to be on point. And the English was everywhere for us at that time. And what else to say? I mean,
तो
it
मतलब
was
English the language spoken at home was English
It was always
और
English.
क्या क्या कल्चर किस तरह से अब आप हम ऑफ द रिकॉर्ड भी बहुत सारी बातें कर रहे थे जैसे कि आप कह रहे थे कि जो और ज्यादातर जो एंग्लो इंडियंस थे वो रेलवेज में थे तो आप लोगों का उसी कम्युनिकेशन डिपार्टमेंट में या
That was a contribution from our side because of the English being preferred. So it was easy for hiring an Anglo-Indian rather than another spoken language because it was easy to communicate. In that time, most of the places had English speaking only. I mean, Urdu was very less at that time. So it was preferred that an Anglo-Indian was at the post so that it could be used as we call a translator today. So it was there wasn't any translators at that time. It was mostly British. The British was ruling everywhere. There was English everywhere. So that was it was preferred to have an Anglo-Indian over there who knew both the languages.
and the British trusted them
Yes, who knew both the languages, who were hard workers, and they could communicate from both ends.
अच्छा ये चीज एक मेरे माइंड में ये क्वेश्चन है कि वो किस तरह की women, Indian women के choose करते थे कि to marry? ये कोई
If we go a
rule
little,
नहीं था.
no, it wasn't the
Not
rule.
really.
If we go a little back, according to the book as well, it was mostly those Maharajas who used to offer their daughters in marriage to set a deal with the British rulers. It could be about land, it could be about anything. So, wo karte karte, I think that's how they preferred the marriages. Plus, then again, it was the army. It could be anybody from the army. It could be Jonathan loving Geeta.
I think
Maybe.
it was a different concept back then as well. I would say that there were refugees within
Yes.
those. There were slaves within
Yes.
those. After World War II, we had a lot of
Servants.
immigrants
There were a
that
lot of
came
servants
along
that
this
time.
side. And naturally, there were different things being exploited at that particular moment. So we can't really say that they chose them. Either naturally there were certain events which took courses, and that's led us to the Anglos, which are here today and now.
अच्छा ज़्यादातर जो आप रावलपिंडी में आपका टाइम
Yes,
था,
yes.
तो आप लोगों को ये रियलाइज कराया जाता था कि मतलब you're not living in Rawalpindi.
No.
This is the
If-
part of the
if-
England.
Yeah, the
Yes,
state
exactly.
of
If we
mind
go
was
back to
also
the book,
that way.
also the pictures that you see, everybody, the women were in dresses, the men were always in coats. There were cycles. There were the British cars that used to run over here. So nobody ever thought that they were living in Pakistan or India, or they always thought that this was a part of England as well. This was later on when Pakistan and India came into being, and then there was a different concept and everything.
Partition ने तो बहुत सारी चीजें
जी
change
जी
कर
जी.
दी ना.
But before that, everything was the same.
They were more English than English.
Yes, yes,
Our
yes.
priests were even not like common priests at that time. There were different missionaries from all over the world who came here. So they even brought in that same thought. and
That's why most of our
concept
churches also were built by the British.
Yes.
British
अच्छा.
Not most,
monastery.
all
All of them.
of them actually.
तो ये उस टाइम पे इस तरह का मतलब.
Yes, so they were.
ट्रेडिशंस क्या क्या घर पे क्या क्या ट्रेडिशंस जो कि थे एंग्लो इंडियंस के.
Okay, so
All the English.
not only the English mixed traditions as well. Like for example, his mom is from Bangladesh. So in their household, there were two different cultures that were being balanced.
Blend.
Yeah, so his mom being from an Indian perspective, she would try and do things that
That's
way.
a good example of an
Yeah.
Anglo and an Indian.
Yeah.
My mom is from the Indian side and my dad is from the English side. So when they got married, they combined and they got the name Anglo-Indian. And then when we guys, me and my brother were born, that's how we are known as Anglo-Indians as well, because we speak and we're by blood we're both. We're English and we're Indian. So that's how we got the name Anglo-Indian, I guess.
So, I mean, most of the time when I even met his mom the first time, so she was dressed in a sari, and she was wearing a sindoor, and she even had what do you call that?
The Mangalsutra.
The Mangalsutra.
She's a
yeah.
pure Indian. She's always.
Being a Christian as well, she never had it in her thought process that she's in Pakistan.
अच्छा.
So to her, even she thought she's back in Bangladesh, even though she was married to
An English guy.
an English guy. But even his father was raised here.
अच्छा अगर आप लोग घर में उर्दू बोलते थे, पहले तो आप लोगों को फोर्स किया जाता था कि इंग्लिश बोलिए.
Yes.
तो हाउ वाज दैट कि उर्दू अगर बोलिए तो फिर क्या क्या होता था?
Then again, mom was a big help in this. She used to pull us on a side and give us these Urdu classes and everything. और जब एक दिन जैसे हम पकड़े गए थे तो बड़ा कुछ हो गया था. And it was basically my great grandma who had the rule of no speaking Urdu. She didn't want us to be like the Pakistanis over here. She wanted us to be total English,
Her
full
name
English.
was, now she comes from the family Burrows. So everyone used to call her Ma Burrows.
Ma Burrows.
Ma Burrows.
अच्छा तो वो मिक्स भी हो गया वर्ड भी
Yeah, yeah.
सही. तो वो नहीं बोलने देती थी.
No.
She was really
But then as she passed on and then the generation started changing, obviously, then Urdu was introduced in the house. Then almost everybody, my dad and everybody, my dad speaks almost all the languages in Pakistan: Pashto, Punjabi, Saraiki, Sindhi, anything. He knows it because He's working as in the oil company, so he's been almost around the country, around the world basically.
Actually, no.
So he knows all the languages. Or coming till dad's generation, yeah, Urdu was then. I myself learned Urdu when I was 4 years old.
Before that, you didn't
Before
know.
that, I didn't know pani or kya, tum, nothing. I didn't know. I was just like a gora. Okay, yeah, thinking, what are they saying? And I used to look at my mom also, like, what are they saying? फिर जाके बाद में when we got to know Urdu, learned it by जोड़ तोड़ and like काफ़ी हम लोगों ने खाए भी हैं जिसकी वजह से आज उर्दू इतनी परफेक्ट हुई भी है स्ट्रेस किया जाता था कि उर्दू 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 so yeah, we basically liked it, and like now also with my conversation, you can tell that we speak more Urdu than English now.
अब उल्टा सीन हो गया.
Ulta scene, yeah. That's why I said like as the generation started changing, things started changing in the house. But like
जो अभी traditions जो हैं
like you mentioned, the traditions are always the same. Till me and my wife, we keep the same traditions as well.
like क्या क्या traditions है the local से different है.
So there's this family tradition that they have every New Year's. This is something that I'm going to tell you, which is out of the context. You wouldn't hear this anywhere. So they had a thing of every New Year's Eve, as it before the clock turns 12, you would throw the oldest person in the house outside the house, and whoever is the youngest in your house, you would bring them in. So the concept behind it was out with the old, in with the new. so that's one thing that we do keep alive till now. I mean, before having our daughter, who's 2.5 right now, we've had dogs. So I'd throw him out and bring the youngest dog in. So after Tasha was born, that was changed actually.
I see. अच्छा और जो एक और चीज है I have heard that the cakes that Anglo-Indians used to make, they were the best cakes.
That's
Yes,
the
that still goes on. There are a few bakeries also that make the cakes as well.
Yeah.
There are a few bakeries in Lal Kurti
Lal
still
Kurti.
that are really old. They were made in the 19th century, I
Yeah.
guess, before Pakistan, and they still make
Still
the
exists.
Are they
cakes.
owned by Anglo-Indians?
No,
Not
they're
really,
they're
but
they're
the
Muslim owners.
recipes passed on to them
Yes.
are actually
Yes,
Anglo-Indian.
but they still keep that for the Anglo-Indians because they know everybody.
They
like,
would make hot cross buns
yes, for Good Friday,
for Good Friday,
Easter के लिए जो होता है.
Easter eggs.
Yes.
Then for Christmas, you would get Christmas cakes, which are normally infused with either brandy or rum, and there's kalkals. There's so many
all the cookies.
small
and everything,
things, yeah. That
अच्छा,
they
I
do-
have never
they do.
heard these names before.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
सीधी सी बात है. हम तो वो चटनी से वो खाने वाले लोग. I'm from the
we used to
southern part of Punjab.
we used to make all these things
I
at
mean,
home.
Christmas Eve we'd make eggnogs, and we'd have either a chocolate drink with marshmallows in it, gingerbread cookies.
We celebrate,
gingerbread
ऐसे यार
houses.
मुंह में पानी आ जाएगा.
I know. So I can list down a lot of.
I mean, this
food
is only
items which
Christmas.
do-
We do celebrate Halloween as well,
Yeah.
and then Halloween brings its own fun and
Yeah,
joys
there's-
with its own
it has its
candies
own
and
charm.
I don't know, but मेरे जो neighbors हैं ना, मैंने उनके बाकियों को तो अभी तक मैंने आप खिलाएंगी तो पता चलेगा. बाकी उनके हाथ का मैंने केक खाया है, and they're Christians as well. तो like that was the best cake I have ever had. और वो जो खाना बनाती हैं आंटी,
So we'll
You're
invite you
delicious.
over
I would
sometime
say
for
you're
an
delicious.
Anglo food.
yeah.
His nana would actually make this lovely chow with beef in it, and I've learned most of
you know,
the
I
Anglo
haven't
cooking
been to
from her.
England या इस तरह से, तो
Mhm.
मैंने तो फिर English खाने नहीं खाए ना. तो
A roast
मैं-
with gravy or
Good, you
a
can have my
turkey.
share. Me being English, being an
He
Anglo-Indian,
prefers-
I don't like English
He
food.
prefers desi food, you know.
If you give me a plate of spaghettis, I'd rather pass it on to you. And if you're having roti and salan, I would take that.
तो आप काफी चेंज हो गए हैं.
That's why everybody says to my
You're more
wife that
desi than desi.
she's more
Why
English
do you
than
think
you
they
are.
call me more of an Anglo than
I see. I see. अच्छा, जोशुआ, अभी आप जिस तरह से अपने how are you bringing up your child, उसी तरह से are you keeping your traditions alive?
Yes. We are keeping that alive very much. We are making sure that that stays alive in her so that she can actually move on with the traditions and everything. I wouldn't want her to forget about the traditions because they are really cool like that.
Yeah, they're
I mean,
fun. I mean,
they're fun to keep. When she does it with her kids onwards, God willing, I'm sure she'll have fun with it. She'll enjoy it. So yeah, we're not keeping it different. We're making sure that whatever knowledge we have of the Anglos and the Punjabis, we are transferring it onto her. We'll make sure that as much as we can, we will transfer it. Yes.
because who knows? Like you're interviewing us right now. Somebody down the road would interview her about her culture and where she learned most of the things from.
अच्छा, ये जो एक और चीज़ है, एक और डिफरेंट यहाँ के, अब देखा जाए तो हमारी सोसाइटी में तो इतना ज़्यादा जो कल्चरल डांसेस हैं वो डिफरेंट हैं एज कम्पेयर टू द इंग्लिश और इस चीज़ से. तो आप लोगों के क्या वो फ्री स्टाइल थे या वो
The rock and roll,
We had
the jive.
all the dances,
Yeah.
the cha-cha, the rock and roll, the
Yeah.
jive, the lamba,
Yeah.
the what was that? I don't know. There's so many.
There's
Like,
so many
my
actually.
grandfather and grandmother were
They were amazing
uh,
dancers.
Pakistan's #1 dancers.
Yeah.
My popo, she was the #1 classical dancer.
Classical dancer. With
My
her
dad
father,
himself, he was a classical dancer and a break dancer as well. So yeah, dancing's been
So
in the
over the
family.
time, those things have changed. But since there's a family get together, we do bring those old traditions around.
अच्छा, या इवेंट्स पे किसी पे वो कर लिया.
Every weekend is an event, so I wouldn't
Yeah.
say that.
I'm sure you've heard of Elvis Presley, names like this. I mean, वही घर में चलते हैं.
Yeah.
Elvis Presley हो गया, Frank Sinatra हो गया, what's his name? Engelbert हो गया.
Yeah, that was Daddy's
Bee Gees.
favorite.
Bands like this, singers like this, वो अभी तक घर में चलते हैं.
अभी तक वही तो आप लोगों का वही नॉस्टैल्जिया है जो कि कैरी हो रहा है.
Yes, yes.
Most of them left Pakistan, most of the Anglo-Indians.
Yes.
तो what do you, पहले तो दो सवाल I would like to include. एक, why did they like to stay over here, और दूसरा आप ये चाहते हो कि छोड़ ही जाते तो अच्छा था. Yeah, you love to live over here.
Well, some of the families, if I speak about my own families, I think they felt threatened at a time. That's why
partition हो गई.
the partition, because of the people. I mean, having daughters, letting them go out into this society or any society, they were mostly threatened like that. Otherwise,
Which is why I think they used to keep their
as the
community
change,
close with each other.
as the change,
Minority जो भी होगी, like
Yeah.
if they जो भी minority होगी वो अपने आप को protect
Yes,
करने के
yes.
लिए वो ये
Naturally.
करेगी.
You stay
Yes.
within the
as we
circle,
mentioned
actually.
that the generation started changing. I could put a small example as in where the dressings started changing.
Yeah.
Women couldn't wear dresses anymore. They had to wear shalwar kameez. They felt threatened, I guess, like that, because being English till date, none of the women in the house prefer shalwar kameez. They would rather go in pants, shirts, jeans,
Or
shirts,
dresses.
or dresses.
Yeah.
My grandmother herself, she was 86 years old, and she always wore a dress, even if she had to go to the market. She always used to be like, "चादर दो, मैं जा रही हूँ, बस टांगे नजर आ रही हैं, कोई बात नहीं, जाने दो." And she used to go do her shopping, everything, and come back.
And then people around you, if you've stayed in a community for a long time or in an area, the shopkeepers knew you. So they understood you for who you were, so nobody had to discriminate you.
And then a
from,
few, I
the
guess,
others.
just left for the sake of it. No reason like that.
अभी भी तो
Yeah,
पैसे
no
छोड़
reason
दिया।
like that. They just thought कि यार बस ठीक है यहाँ पे हमने काफी कर लिया है.
Some already had families abroad, so they felt they were the only ones left here, so they moved on because of that. So everyone had their own reasons. It wasn't like a specific reason that we could give you for everyone.
अच्छा
Leave.
अब एक ये क्वेश्चन मेरे माइंड में that this is coming up कि how did an Anglo-Indian meet with
A Punjabi girl like me.
Punjabi girl like, and how is it different? आपने क्या क्या different उसमें पाया?
To be honest, growing up, I never wanted to get married. And my mom would actually taunt me on this point that the only person who can sustain you mentally and understand you would be an Anglo. And I
And
had
when
no
you found
idea.
an Anglo-Indian तो आप तो
And when she was talking to me about this, I had no idea
who was Anglo?
who and what is this Anglo until I met one, and then I understood what she meant by that.
और फिर आपने तो कहा होगा इसको तो नहीं छोड़ना भी।
हाँ नहीं, Iraqi भी नहीं छोड़ा. I think we've been
Yeah, we've been through a lot of up and downs.
Yeah,
We've tested each other a lot. A lot.
stuck it out through thick and
Yes.
thin. Yeah.
I mean, 15 years and counting.
क्या different? What have you found different?
Well, the thing that I would talk about Anglos, the difference that I found within them is that they're open-minded. They're accepting.
Accepting.
Yeah, which you don't really find in a Punjabi person. You know, you tell them something and ekdam se they would come up with the negative points about it. Alright, so the Anglos would think about it. They would let themselves process what you're talking and take it in rather than gushing it out on you. Okay, oh, nee, don't do this and this is bad for you, or coming as in jumping to a conclusion without even knowing the whole story. So they were pretty open-minded towards that, and I think that's what I needed in my life, and I did find that.
Thank you.
सही। और क्या फैमिली ट्रेडिशंस कैसे कौन से डिफरेंट थे आप लोगों ने जो देखा?
From me growing up in a Punjabi family, I would say that there was a lot of openness within the household. Right? From sitting to getting up to saying hello to somebody, there were no rules to it. You could be yourself. There are steps when you have to follow. Like एक पंजाबी घर में कोई आता है, ठीक है, तो आपको अस्सलाम वालेकुम, कैसे हैं आप, चाय लेंगे. They're, hey, what's up? Yeah, uncle, haven't seen you in a long time. All right, catch you later. I mean, you didn't really have to sit with them, hold their hand, and make them feel like they're welcome in the house. I mean, people would just walk in and out as they pleased because you have a life too. So you're not bounded to that family.
जैसा कि बाहर अभी भी है वेस्ट में जिस तरह
Yes.
That openness that you
That's
get.
why we had people saying, यार ये Anglos बड़े ठीक हैं, ये बड़े open mind के हैं. Because they thought that we were different. We never had the same mentality like she's mentioning. So I guess that's why they used to say.
And most of the Anglos would show up at your house when you're having lunch, so they could have lunch and walk out. And that's a good thing. You've come to share bread. You've come to talk about a few nice things about each other, have a good time, and just go back to your normal daily routine life.
अच्छा, how many of the family would be living here in Rawalpindi जो कि Anglos stayed?
At the moment?
I think around 15 to 20 families are here.
Yeah, 20 plus.
So you guys meet?
Yes.
Regularly.
Yes.
Not that
On
often,
event.
but now and then, yes.
Now and then, yes. Just like mostly everybody's grown up and busy with their lives. So Christmas, birthdays,
Or meet them at church on Sundays.
church, every Sunday. That's the main point. जहाँ पे बंदा चलो
You get
5
together.
मिनट 10 मिनट you get to know okay how's your whole week gone और कैसे बच्चे ठीक हैं ये वो है.
And if you want the whole community to get together, it would be on a wedding or if somebody's passed away. I mean, that's like a common thing for everyone, not just Anglos, I guess.
Yeah, that's a
That's
common
a
thing.
common thing. Yeah.
चले ठीक है. Is there anything that you would like to add on at the end of? Actually, हमने बहुत सारी चीजें पहले कर ली. We have discussed so many things before the podcast.
Yeah.
और अब रहा कुछ नहीं है. I just am dragging the
You're dragging
conversation.
it, yeah, I know.
कोई चीज ऐड करना चाहें?
Not,
I would say
nothing
thank
I
you for
could-
having us.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, it was-
Thank you so
it
much
was-
for your
amazing.
time,
Yeah.
Sarah.
Thank
lovely
you so
talking to you.
much.
बल्कि आप कुछ
For
वर्ड्स भी हैं
inviting
जो कि
us.
जो वर्ड्स हैं जो कि दे आर यू नो स्पेसिफिक अटैच्ड टू एंग्लो-इंडियंस और वो डबल वर्ड्स यूज करते हैं. कोई है ऐसे यहाँ पे लिखे हुए हैं?
Yes. Go ahead.
टिप टॉप ये इस तरह के लफ्ज हैं. हर्डी गर्डी ठीक है. अगर मगर नौकर शौकर
Yes.
ये तो कॉमन यूज हो गया.
Yeah, now Khana Shana,
राइटिंग
Chai Shai, ha. So they were actually the beginnings.
पुडिंग शुडिंग.
Ha
Pudding,
ha
pudding.
ha.
अब हमारे यहाँ की इधर पंजाबियों की या
Even his grandfather would tell us at times, मैं जरा workshop करके आता हूँ.
ये वर्ड्स
Kuppy shuppy भी.
Oh.
That's another term.
चल
So there's a lot of things like that which I think we're even missing out on.
चल thank you so much for your time both of
Thank you.
I wish
For
you
having
all the
us.
best life with the life ahead और अच्छे तरीके से बच्चे को जैसे आप लोग रेस कर रहे हैं
Thank you. Thank you.
and you grow up वो करती हैं तो she is a a wonderful citizen और वो यहीं पे रहे मुश्किल लगता है मुझे. Thank you.
Thank you so much.